everybody gets the good news yesterday, right? Like all the reserves are like, oh, cool, I'm an all-star. And then we immediately go to SNUBS, which I think is one of the funnier parts of the All-Star. But here are your reserves in the West. AD, Harden, Sengun. Rockets were very happy. Their social media account was very excited. Jalen Williams, amazing. Ant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Wemby. All right, let's start there. I believe he's the youngest Spur to be an All-Star, which is kind of cool. But can we start with SNUBS, Danny? I mean, that's the first place we go when this list comes out. Was there anything that really struck you?
I mean, I think every one of those guys on both sides are deserving. So I wouldn't say replace anybody or take somebody off, because I'm happy for everybody, especially first-time All-Stars like Sengun. It's great to see Jaren Jackson on there again. But I thought Sabonis' numbers were kind of crazy this year. Norman Powell had a great case with them being in the top 6 for most of the year without Kawhi. So there's a couple guys out West. In the East, I think it's pretty fair. There was a lot of injuries. But on the West, I said I would have liked to seen, even though Sacramento's 10th in the West, one of those guys, De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis, trying to find a way to slide in there. And I would have been a great year for Norm Powell. I thought he had an opportunity to get there.
Yep. Yep. I gotta agree with Danny. Yeah, outside of everything, you could make a case for Norman Powell. Like, he kept the lights on for the Clippers when guys were injured in and out of lineups. He was there. He was the consistent until he started missing some games. But he was your leading scorer for a lot of that season. If not still at this point, he was just your rock. So we can make a case for Norman Powell. But like Danny just said, all of those guys that are on that list are very much deserving. So it gets down to who would you replace this guy with, right? Like, who did he outplay?
Yeah.
And one thing that I am starting to see now, so now we are valuing winning now. So winning is part of the criteria. So we should take that with our MVP cases as well. So we got to find consistency in how we're gonna rate these things. On one hand, it's about numbers and it's about name, it's about likeness, it's about celebrity. And then on the other side, it's about impact and winning. So we just got to find some simulants in these arguments, but I wouldn't take anybody off of the Western Conference at all.
Is the Norm Powell thing just simply the Clippers got Harden, so we're not about to give them two? I mean, I'm trying to figure out the logic behind some of these.
Just star power. It is All-Star weekend. Right? It comes down to star power. You have a guy that's already been a perennial All-Star. He's part of that fraternity of guys. So if it comes down to picking him opposed to somebody on that same team that could possibly be their first time, I think the NBA always going to hedge its bets on the guy that's been there already. And that's the business of basketball. That's just how these things work, unfortunately.
By the way, all I can think about is like Sacramento Kings fans just feeling the utmost disrespect as a result of both of their stars being snubbed in this one. But I do want to show you guys 2 blind items. I love blind items. A couple of resumes side by side. I love the silhouettes.
Well, the silhouettes aren't great, but okay.
Right.
I solved the mystery. But in all seriousness, the numbers, if you look from left to right, the right has a pretty dominant edge across the board in all of the categories. And obviously, if you know the silhouette game, that's Sabonis on the right and Sengun on the left. Please tell me why we're looking at a situation where he's not in it. Danny.
48% from 3. Wow. These numbers are impressive.
It's like his best career year.
Yeah, and like Lou was saying, we're actually valuing winning now, and that's why you see Cleveland out east got 3 people, which I was shocked, but surprisingly happy for them that they got 3 guys there, because usually they go with the star power and the names in Cleveland, the market. People don't look at them and say, oh, we got 3 all-star or 3 stars here. Usually you'll slide in a Trae Young or a LaMelo or something like that, but they're valuing winning, which I love to see. It should be taken into account. Winning matters, and when you go on MVP voting, winning matters. So when you look at these 2 teams, Houston's second in the West, which they're not, the team that's up and coming anymore. They're here. They're letting it be known they're here, and they're a serious team like that can be in contention this year, or can be at least in the Western Conference Finals. So Sengun and company, they've done it collectively, which I like. Which it was hard for me to pick one person in Houston, like, oh, that's the guy, because they've done it different people, night in, night out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be Jalen Green, it'll be Fred and Dylan. Now you got Amin Thompson, who's been balling unbelievably. You got Jayshawn Tate off the bench. Like they find ways to win games with other guys. It's not just one guy night in, night out that's carrying them.
Yep. Listen, and you know what? And I'm gonna tell you this, guys. I look forward to basketball after All-Star Weekend. You know, Devin Booker came out and made a statement about politics. That was interesting to me coming from Book, because you know you guys have struggled, man, and you know how this thing works. So if there are guys that's playing better basketball, salute those guys. I didn't see the politics in that. You know, I didn't all the way agree with him. I understood the sentiment, but I didn't all the way agree with him. But you got guys like him making statements. Sacramento Kings snubbed again. You got guys on their team, nobody's being recognized. There's going to be a lot of chips on shoulders. Ja Morant, he wore the Pooh Shiesty last night. You know, if I'm guessing that he was just a little frustrated with not being added to this party. Only criticism that I would give to him for that is, you know, celebrate your teammate that did make it. I'm sure he did that behind closed doors, but you know, in the public, it looked like he was upset about his own position, which is fair. But I still would have liked him to see to celebrate JJ and him being selected. But it's going to be a lot of basketball, a lot of chips on shoulders.
Oh yeah.
It's going to come down.
A lot
to
of smoke. I can't. That's what I like to say. The smoke after the fire. So after the All-Star game, who's going to come out with the chip in their shoulder and let it be known? I should have been All-Star. There's going to be a couple guys that's going to be playing that type of basketball. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
I do love a good chip on the shoulder. I'm a little bummed with Trae Young last night because I thought for sure he was going to come out and drop like 40, and he didn't have that kind of game. And he's obviously